After 10 long years of brutal war, the Greeks finally conquered the impenetrable city of Troy. Their victory wasn't won by brute force, but by a masterful deception, the Trojan horse. And the brilliant mind behind this legendary trick was none other than Odysseus, the cunning king of Ithaca, celebrated for his unmatched wit and bravery. Standing amidst the smoldering ruins of the city he had brought to its knees, Odysseus's heart swelled with pride. He declared for all to hear, "Without me, there would be no victory. The world will forever remember Odysseus, the man who defeated Troy." But such hubris, spoken aloud, has a way of reaching the ears of the gods. And in his moment of triumph, Odysseus had unknowingly sown the seeds of his own suffering, stirring the anger of a mighty and vengeful god. Before setting sail for home, a somber prophecy was whispered to Odysseus. The seer warned him that his return journey would not be swift or easy. It would be a long and perilous odyssey, fraught with unimaginable dangers. But Odysseus, still basking in the glory of his victory, simply laughed it off. I conquered the mighty city of Troy. What trivial challenge could possibly stand in my way now? He dismissed the warning, blind to the fate that his own arrogance was weaving for him. His journey home began, and soon Odysseus and his crew landed on a seemingly peaceful island. This was the land of the Cyclopes, and they had unwittingly stumbled into the lair of the fearsome Polyphemus, a one-eyed giant, and, most unfortunately for them, a son of Poseidon, the god of the sea. Trapped within the giant's cave, they watched in horror as he devoured some of their comrades. Polyphemus roared with glee, "You mortals will not escape. I will crush your bones and feast on your flesh." But Odysseus's cunning had not deserted him. He offered the giant a skin of strong, unwatered wine. Polyphemus, unused to such a potent drink, quickly fell into a drunken stupor. Seizing the opportunity, Odysseus and his men took a massive olive stake they had sharpened and hardened in the fire. With all their might, they drove it deep into the giant's single eye, blinding him. Polyphemus awoke screaming in agony, his roars echoing across the island. "Father Poseidon, hear your son. Avenge me. Curse this man Odysseus, who has dishonored your bloodline." High on Mount Olympus, Poseidon heard his son's tormented cries. His rage shook the heavens and the earth. His thunderous voice boomed across the waves, directed at the tiny ship sailing away from the island. "Odysseus, you blinded my son and dared to boast of your deed. For this, I curse you. You shall not return to Ithaca. Swiftly, the seas will become your sworn enemy. For 10 long years you will wander, lost and alone, suffering without end." From that moment forward, Poseidon's divine wrath became the compass for Odysseus's journey. Every current, every storm, every wave was a weapon aimed at the proud king, turning his voyage home into a relentless trial. And so, his ordeal began. Poseidon's curse steered Odysseus and his men into a series of treacherous traps. They landed on the island of Aia, home to the enchantress Circe, who, with a touch of her wand, turned his men into swine. They sailed to the land of the Lotus Eaters, where the sweet, narcotic fruit made his crew forget their homes, their families, and their desire to return, lost in a state of blissful apathy. Then came the most alluring and deadly trial yet. As they navigated past the island of the Sirens, beautiful, haunting melodies drifted across the water. The Sirens' song promised eternal joy and forbidden knowledge, luring sailors to their doom upon the rocky shores. Odysseus... Come to us. Endless pleasure awaits in our embrace. ... Double quotes. The song was almost irresistible. Knowing its power, Odysseus commanded his men, "Plug your ears with wax and tie me tightly to the mast. Do not, under any circumstances, release me, no matter how much I beg or command you." Surviving the Sirens, Odysseus faced an impossible choice. His ship had to pass through a narrow strait, a deadly passage flanked by 2 terrifying monsters. On one side was Scylla, a hideous 6-headed beast who snatched sailors from their decks. On the other, Charybdis, a monstrous whirlpool that could swallow a ship whole. There was no safe path. Facing the terrifying reality, Odysseus made a grim decision, shouting to his crew, "Row with all your might, row for your lives. It is better to lose a few of us to Scylla than for all of us to be swallowed by Charybdis." As said, Scylla's head shot out, plucking 6 of his best men from the ship. Odysseus could only watch in horror, powerless, as their screams faded and the sea around them turned red. One by one, through storms, monster attacks, and the direct wrath of the gods, Odysseus's loyal companions perished. His entire crew, the men who had fought beside him at Troy, were lost to the cruel sea. Finally, a great storm, sent by Poseidon, shattered his last ship, leaving Odysseus utterly alone, clinging to a piece of wreckage, adrift on the vast, unforgiving ocean. Broken and desperate, he cried out to the heavens, "O gods, have you not seen enough? Grant me a path home. Surely I have suffered enough." Double quotes though. Poseidon's rage was relentless. Not all the gods were against the wandering king. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and Odysseus' patron, took pity on him. Working in secret, she subtly guided his path, whispering words of encouragement in his darkest moments. Other forces of nature sometimes seemed to spare him, as if a gentle hand were shielding him from Poseidon's full fury. Athena's soft voice reached him across the waves, a beacon in his despair. "Odysseus, hold fast to hope. Though your journey is harsh and long, your home, Ithaca, still awaits you." And so, after 10 long years of wandering the seas, a full decade after the fall of Troy weary, weathered Odysseus finally set foot on the shores of his homeland. But this was no triumphant hero's return. There were no cheering crowds, no grand welcome. It was a quiet, solitary homecoming for a man scarred by loss, humbled by the gods, and transformed by his long and painful exile. He was a king who had lost everything but his life. The epic journey of Odysseus, born from his pride at the gates of Troy and fueled by the wrath of Poseidon, serves as a timeless lesson. It teaches us that in the face of divine power, human arrogance is a dangerous flaw. It is a story that reminds us that true strength is not just found in conquering cities, but in endurance, in humility, and in the quiet resilience it takes to finally find our way home. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into Greek mythology, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from the ancient world. See you next time.